Before I start my talk, let me say just this point regarding introduction of our friend. I'm not, do not be misunderstanding that I'm not member of Bravo. They support me. This is a feminist, democratic-minded organization. Still, they are underground. So everybody in Afghanistan, when they stand up against fundamentalists, against occupation, especially wealthy women, and they tell them they are member of Bravo. Anyway, I'm independent, but I'm honored that they also support me. Just I wanted to say this point that do not be misunderstanding. I'm not member of the RAWA, but I have this ownership that RAWA organization, this feminist, democratic-minded organization, they support me like other democratic-minded intellectuals that we have, some party and also activists. First of all, I would like our dear friend, Dr. Joseph Pitts, who organized this event, invited me here and gave me this opportunity on behalf of my people to talk about ongoing tragedy in my crying country, about the realities of the so-called war on terror by US and NATO, and also about the brutalities of Islamic fundamentalists. As our friend mentioned earlier, and maybe you also hear that this time the US government denied to give me visa. Same few years ago, the puppet regime of US in Kabul, I mean Karzai's puppet regime, they imposed ban on my travel abroad. But I told them that you never can block my voice to reach great justice-loving people around the world, and you never could stop me from spreading my message around the world to justice-loving people around the world against occupation for democracy and peace. So from this opportunity, I would like to thank all of my those supporters, friends, and great American people who put pressure on their government to give me visa, and now I come here to bring the message of those suffer voiceless poor people of my country, especially women, to you. But there is a question, why is the US government so afraid of me? Because always I'm telling the truth. Each country that I go there, I attend on behalf of my people. I expose the wrong policies of the warmongers that I tell to justice-loving people around the world about the blind bombardment of the occupation forces. I informed them about their taxpayer money, billions of dollars, which goes into pocket of the warlords, drug lords, criminals, even indirectly to the Taliban. So I think this is the reason that this is something that the warmongers in White House, they can't bear, as they try to use their huge propaganda machine and the corporate media to hide these bitter realities from your eyes. And I want to tell you from this opportunity that while the US governments and other Western governments, they are bombing, killing innocent civilians of my people under the name of Taliban and these terrorists, but justice-loving, peace-loving people of these countries stand in solidarity with us. It means a lot for us. It means that you are giving helping hand to pro-democracy and anti-fundamentalist movement in my country. 10 years ago, US and NATO invaded my country under the beautiful banner of women's rights, human rights, and democracy. But today's situation of my people is as catastrophic as it was under the domination of the Taliban, especially for the women. While there are many media hypes in the West about improving women's conditions, but the women of Afghanistan in many provinces even do not have human life. Rapes, domestic violences, acid attacks, killing of women, burning their schools, fires in the girls' schools, and many, many other violence increasing rapidly, even historical. Maybe you hear the story of Bibi Aisha in Time magazine, that her cruel husband cut her nose and ears, but the headline of the Time magazine says, "What happens to the woman if we leave Afghanistan?" But on behalf of my people, I'm telling you, that what will happen to the women of my country. It was better if they wrote what's happening to the women of my country while we are in Afghanistan. These are few pictures of the catastrophic situation of the woman. You can see, can I have you? You can see this 4-year-old baby that she brutally has been raped by the warlords, local warlords. Her name is Aisha, and also this is another victim, girls that 12 years old, she brutally has been raped by these powerful warlords. But I wanted to tell you from this opportunity that this is not only military war in Afghanistan, war of propaganda as well. Even they misuse from the miseries of the women of my country. Never U.S. government, NATO, they bring those women that they use cluster bomb, white phosphorus, that they, same here, you can see this woman, this young girl, they use white phosphorus. They never bring them for treatment in the Western countries because their wrongdoing, their warmonger policy, their war crimes get exposed. And also, same like Taliban time, their jungle condition. You can see this picture that a woman executed in Ghazni province in public. They beat it by lashes, then shoot on her head. Same like Taliban time, whether to bring them to the even this fundamentalist symbolic court. Many people ask me how we can support people of Afghanistan. My message is this, my answer: first, war will never help Afghan women. Secondly, if they give us opportunity, I'm sure progressive Afghan men will help us stand in solidarity with us. If they let us a little bit Britain peace, as long as these warlords will be in power, there is no hope to come positive changes in the life of the men and women of my country. And during these 9 years of occupation, tens of thousands of innocent civilians has been killed. Most of them are innocent women, men, and children. Even they are bombing, the occupation forces bombing our wedding parties, but they did in Nangarhar, in Nuristan. And, but unfortunately, when Obama took office, his first news for my people was more conflict, more war. Because he surged more troops in Afghanistan, the outcome was, which the outcome is still massacres, tragedies, and many other problems. Quite similar like the wrong policy of Bush administration. Unfortunately, during these 2 years, Obama proved himself just a warmonger. And the civilian death toll 24% increase when you compare with the Bush administration. In my own province in Farah, last year they did bombing, 150 civilians has been killed in one day. Even these occupation forces used white phosphorus. It seems that shedding blood of countless innocent civilians was not enough in Iraq and Afghanistan, that now Obama's administration is started this brutal war in Libya as well, under the umbrella of UN. And I hope that justice-loving, great peace-loving people of the US around the world, they should raise their voice more strongly against this wrong policy. While Obama's administration raised hue and cry against Gaddafi's regime and his crimes, in the meantime, unfortunately, supporting the much more dirty Gaddafi's regime in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Israel, in Saudi Arabia, in Pakistan, and many other countries. The document released by WikiLeaks exposed what we have been saying about war in Afghanistan, exposed the treachery policy of the U.S. government. And maybe you heard also that some of these documents reflect in media. But unfortunately, when they kill the innocent civilians, they shamelessly, through mainstream media, they decrease the number of civilian deaths and call them insurgents, terrorists. While now they negotiating now with Taliban as well, these terrorists. Gulbuddin Hekmatyar, this fascist man. That's why for my people, Obama is just a second Bush, even dangerous Bush. The puppet regime of Hamid Karzai is full of these warlords, drug lords, and criminals. And as I said earlier, even indirectly, they supported Taliban. One member of the parliament in the previous parliament was a Talib. a cruel commander of Taliban, his name Mullah Abdul Salam Rakiti. Even during the Taliban domination, he raped 3 Chinese. But with mask of democracy in power, and many other examples. Maybe you heard about Mullah Rahmatullah Hashimi, a spokesperson of Taliban, when they destroyed our Buddha statue. He defended. But now he's in jail in the Yale University, one of the best universities of the US. And Afghanistan is ranked 181st out of 182 countries in the Human Development Index. According to the Mines Minister, Afghanistan is sitting on around 3 trillion of mineral deposits, but because it's the second most corrupt country in the world, the income of these mines would fill the pockets of the government officials, warlords, and also their foreign masters, do not benefit Afghan people. In these 9 years, they have changed my country into the center of the drug in the world. Maybe you hear the report that this report, 93% of opium produced from Afghanistan. Since 2001, 4,400% opium increased. Even New York Times gave report, brother of Hamid Karzai is a famous drug trafficker and also in the payroll of CIA. My people call him a small bush in Kandahar province. The US and NATO, they try to fool Afghan people, not only Afghan people, their own people too, by saying that we are leaving Afghanistan in the mid of 2011, which is a big lie. From another hand, Karzai's puppet regime is talking about permanent military bases in Afghanistan. We know very well that they will not leave our ground soon. They are there because of their own interest, because our country is in the heart of the Asia. Because of geopolitical location of Afghanistan, they occupied my country. When they will have powerful their military bases, very easily can control other Asian powers, Russia, China, Iran, etc. Then they will have easily access to the gas and oil of the Central Asian republics. In the meantime, billions of dollars they are receiving through dirty business of opium. And these are at least few reasons that briefly I told you that they are here. That's why it keeps situation of my country lawless, unsafe, especially condition of the woman, to as much as will be terrible. Then they have good excuse for you, justice loving people around the world, to stay longer, as I said, for their own interest. And no one can believe that a superpower with massive military machine is really unable to defeat Taliban, these bunch of terrorists, killers, who created by US government, I mean CIA, ISI, financial support of Saudi Arabia. Their domination has been destroyed and still. This is the big power and these warmongers playing the game of Tom and Jerry with these terrorists. As I told you that they don't want to lose them. Through them, they occupied my country, and unfortunately they continue to their brutal war. I think justice-loving people around the world agree with my people that democracy never can by military invasion, by bombing innocent civilians, by white phosphorus or cluster bomb, by support of these misogynist terrorist warlords in Taliban, who are sworn enemies of these values. Right now, there is two kinds of resistance going on in my country. One is the reactionary resistance of the Taliban, that always mainstream media, which is a mouthpiece of these warmongers, wrong politicians who are in power, they always try to make something out of nothing, a mountain out of molehill. But there's another kind of resistance as well, which is hope. The resistance of ordinary Afghan people, resistance of the student of the university, resistance of the woman of my country. These most of non-educated women of Afghanistan, they come on the streets with banners, US out of Afghanistan now. Because this 10 years is enough to know better about the wrong policy of US and NATO, about their dishonesty. And now, for 1,000 times, they prove for my people, again, their treachery policy, that now they invite Taliban, these terrorists, these dinosaurs, also to join this mafia corrupt puppet regime of Hamid Karzai. That's why we fed up from this occupation. And after these blind bombardment, massacres, White House says, thank you, apologize. Karzai's puppet regime says, thank you, that is it. we fed up from listening, thank you and apologize. We want the end of this occupation, this brutal war as soon as possible. If today they leave Afghanistan, is much, much better even than tomorrow. And I believe that the only solution to my country is that the troops should withdraw, because their presence, they double our miseries, create more obstacles for some democratic-minded parties we have, more than parties, intellectuals we have, and they double the miseries of people of my country, especially the women. At least when they leave Afghanistan, nobody will bomb us from the sky. And now my people squashed between three enemies: occupation forces, warlords, and Taliban. With the withdrawal of occupation forces, we will fight two internal enemies instead of three. At least the backbone of these warlords, these fundamentalists, will break. That's why we want them that they must leave my country, because this 10 years we experienced their so-called war on terror. That much my people fed up. They say, we don't expect anything good from you, just stop wrongdoing. Stop these massacres and other tragedies. So now I would like to ask all peace-loving, justice-loving people of the US around the world that they are the ones who should stand in solidarity with my people. Human rights organizations, anti-war movements, peace-loving organizations, feminist organizations, and other great intellectuals, progressive people, they are the ones who do not leave us alone, who should not leave us alone. We need their helping hand, no question, but we don't want occupation. Our history bears, the history bears witness that only the nation can liberate themselves. So at the end, I would like to ask you all for your moral support and also financial support, especially educational support, because I believe education is a key toward emancipation. Heartfelt thanks once again for your solidarity and support. Thank you.
The plea for financial support comes with a basket. I was asked by the organization sending her here to generate some money for her causes, for schools, for hospitals, for other things for women. It's not for her personally, but I will send around this collection basket. And yes, Malalai would be happy to take questions, so if you'll stay here, I will field this. Oh, you want to say something about that?
No, just maybe during Q&A here, I have a project as well to show some pictures which prove what we have been saying and the story we are telling about this brutal war. Later, yes, it was possible.
Okay, hands, please. Who wants to ask questions? Tim in the back.
In the U.S., we're usually told that Sharia law is the cause of the problem when it comes to the way women are treated in Arab countries. I'm curious to hear what you think, whether or not you see Sharia law as a way forward for Afghan women, or whether you agree with the idea that Sharia law is the problem.
You know, the problem is that in my country, as all of you know, most population of Afghanistan are Muslim. But their problem of my people is not with Islam at all. Their problem is with political Islam of Sayyaf, Osama bin Laden, Mullah Omar, Kanuni, Dostum, Ismail Khan, etc. Many other dirty-minded elements who are in power. Let me show you their brutal pictures. Anyway, our problem is with these dirty-minded elements, bunch of killers. You can see on Human Rights Watch website that to know better about them, how they how they interpret Islam as they wish, mixed with politics, and as a weapon, use it against the women of my country. That's why they are afraid from secularism. Nobody in Afghanistan dare today publicly talk to the people about secularism. They accuse them as infidel, as communists. Why? Because if we will have secular, democratic-minded government, then even somebody will be photocopy of Mullah Omar, similar mind of Mullah Omar, not able to misuse Islam against my people, especially women. So regarding Sharia law, that was become also a big issue when they passed this law in this non-democratic parliament of Afghanistan. In the media as well, this story come. They are more than even American parliament women are in power, but most of them they have symbolic role, just mouthpiece of this misogynist government. Even by presence of these so many women there, this Sharia law has been passed. Despite national and international condemnation, 7 articles of this law quite similar like Taliban. Let me tell you one example, that they ban women to go out, go to the doctor, or have job without permission of their husband, which is elementary rights of the woman, while we have in our constitution equal rights for men and women. We have very beautiful laws in Afghanistan in our constitution now that unfortunately every law is on the paper. If it was benefit for the warlords, they will use it, otherwise they will look like a waste paper, even easy for them to change it.
And I guess I'm sorry to follow up on this, but then is the answer secularism? Or can you use Sharia law again to combat the way the warlords use it for their own political purposes?
Yeah, that's why for their own political purposes they want Sharia law.
But is there anything in Sharia law that can combat this? Or do you just need to get rid of it in order to help women's causes?
You know, I'm so sorry, I'm not like expert in this issue. I apologize, but at least what I know, I told you that those who are in power, they misuse Islam, religious, against my people. You can read the book of Robert Dreyfus, here the book of this extraordinary American man, that Robert Dreyfus, Devil's Game. Oh, sorry, what's happened? Devil's Game is the name of the book. Here, I wanted to show you that in this book, introduced for you that tell you that how U.S. government, CIA, not only in Afghanistan, countless Muslim countries, they support fundamentalists against progressive people, against progressive parties, democratic-minded parties, secular parties, etc. Anyway, but as I said, our problem is this political Islam.
Here is a question, please.
Yes, if the Allied forces pull out, what do you think will be the effect immediately in terms of terrorism, in terms of government?
What will happen? Yeah.
How will the Karzai government has been very dependent on the U.S. and the Allies. He continues in his corrupt ways, and the whole family living off of selling drugs, etc. He makes he works with the warlords and fundamentalists. So if we all pull out quickly, what do you think will happen?
First, at least occupation will end. At least nobody will bomb us from the sky. At least the backbone of these warlords and Taliban will break. This 9 years they become powerful. If they continue as they continue to the strong policy still, then they will be more dangerous, more powerful to eliminate our people. Of course that to fight against Taliban and warlords not easy this 9 years they become powerful. That's why my message to justice-loving people around the world is that join your hands with us, especially education is the key for this disaster situation of Afghanistan. These most of non-educated, poor, suffer people of my country. It's true that they are wounded, they are tired of all kinds of the war, but the hopeful point is that they hate the Taliban and also the warlords, both of them. That's the hopeful point, positive point for the future. And as I said, that they develop our messages by presence there. Today itself is civil war. Nobody's talking about today's civil war. We have squashed, as I told you, between two enemies from the sky, occupation force bombing, and the ground Taliban warlords. You know that recently maybe you hear the date about the Spiegel report. Spiegel report, maybe you hear that in German media, these heartbreaking pictures that these occupation forces, in a very cruel way, they kill my innocent people of my country, even make fun with their dead bodies. And then they are talking about the prosecution of few soldiers who did, few of these occupation forces that who did this crime. I think it's not enough. It's just priceless. Why? They must, if they are really honest, they must bring to the court, prosecute first of all those warmongers that they ordered to these troops to bomb and kill my people, through them occupy. These troops themselves are the victim of the wrong policy of their government. They must prosecute, first of all, this warmonger Robert Gates, David Petraeus, who order and kill and bomb my people. Those who must be, first of all, prosecute that they did bomb in my own province in Pharaoh, 150 civilians has been killed. Recently in Connaught province, 65 innocent civilians has been killed, most of them women and children. 9 children, again in another village of Connaught, has been killed, and many, many other massacres and tragedies.
Do you think women will be able to be educated under the Taliban if the
You know-
Allies pull out?
No question that situation of the women slightly improved when you compare with the barbaric regime of the Taliban. Some schools they built, some clinics they built, while billions of dollars can this regime receive. $30 billion is not less, my sister. Otherwise today Afghanistan was like heaven. No need to send any taxpayer money, no need to search any troops. But they, as I told you, the money go into pocket of these warlords, drug lords, criminals. Some schools that they built, through mainstream media show to you that their women can go to school, we are doing good job, we are peace loving, we are like angel, but they are bombing, burning their schools, Taliban burning their schools, they are throwing acids on the face of the woman 2 times at least in Kandahar happened, but rape the girls, 12 years old, 14 years old, 5 years old babies, poison the girls' schools, tens of girls poisoned in Kabul school, Afghan Turkish school. Then hundreds of schools have been closed now for security reasons. When we don't have security, how we should talk about women's rights, human rights, these other values. Even in Kabul, we don't have security. So that's why we believe that they justify their occupation by building some schools. Just to put dust on your eyes, there's no question we want a school. We wish that instead of military invasion, it was invasion of schools, hospital, clinic. Anyway, you can see this picture. Can you help me to be on this? I want to show you one picture. There is the picture of century of 60s, 70s. Even New York
We
Times.
need Bob. Or
Not working?
come on up, somebody you can.
In century
Number
six-
5?
F5.
F5.
In century 60s,
No.
70s,
F5 has, it's for sound. Now you made a mess. Tim Berners, what do I do to get it down? Come on up.
maybe it was my mistake before. I just pushed it here many times. Right. Anyway, let me explain you when later you can see this picture.
Yeah. Oh, now, okay.
Now it works?
Now it works. Now you can
Thank
go.
you, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
One picture I really wanted to show you as proof. This picture. You can see here. See that this is even mainstream media of the U.S., New York Times, and some other newspapers. They give report that in century 60s, 70s, that how the women they walk freely on the streets with modern clothes, but open here as they wish. They play their role. But even this 10 years of our so-called war on terror, that they are shamelessly pretending we are bringing women's rights in Afghanistan, which is a big lie. Even our women, they didn't got the limited rights they enjoyed in these century 60s and 70s. And maybe you hear many times Laura Bush and other so-called politicians, they are telling you these pro-war and pro-occupations, that first time we brought women's rights in Afghanistan. Just a big lie anyway. No question we have Ministry Office of the Women. We didn't have in the period of Taliban. But let me tell you one example to know better about role of this symbolic Ministry Office of the Women, that they did nothing for the women of my country. Why? Recently in Connaught province, because of domestic violence of her husband, a 17-year-old girl, she escaped from the house, go to the Ministry Office of the Women in Connaught province. Here she gets shelter, but she hand over to the office of head of the provincial council, a powerful warlord. Brutally, twice she has been raped by this powerful warlord. Her name is Mia Hassan. And nobody listened to the voice of this woman. This story even came to the media. A brave local lawyer want to follow this case because this powerful warlord is in power. Nobody listened to the voice. Told him that if you love to be alive, forget this issue. And also that in 13 years old, another young girl, Bashira, you can see on my webpage that she has been raped by son of the member of the parliament, Haji Painda, and 3 other cruel men. But this story also fortunately come in the media, this non-democratic media. Sometimes they have to tell some brave journalists, they give report, use from this opportunity that when they are losing their job, those brave journalists, sometimes they report these miseries of my people and condemn. This so-called member of the parliament lawbreaker changed the age of his son less than 18. Then he became free. That do not be punished. 12 rape cases, same happened in the same province. Same rape cases happened in the Sarpur province in the north of Afghanistan. Is it possible to stop all of these rape cases, violences, and many other miseries against women? Sometimes small fishes go to the jail, sharks free.
We better take some more questions. One, Dave, was your hand up before? No? Walter?
If the United States left Afghanistan, is it possible that we would see the kind of popular uprising against Karzai that we've seen in Tunisia and Aden and Syria?
In Afghanistan, it's another story. My country, just 30 years, they keep my country backward because of the war. Still, they push my country to the dark ages by inviting these terrorist Taliban with bloody hands. All crimes of the Taliban, if we put aside, alone because of destruction of borders, is enough to bring them to the court, to be unforgivable and unforgettable, their crimes. Anyway, but they impose on my people, and it takes time. Today, more than 87% women of my country, half population, this big power is illiterate. They burn themselves. If they have education, they never kill themselves. They exchange to brave activists, feminist activists. Then they know about women's rights, these values, democracy, human rights. Anyway, in Afghanistan, it takes time. That's why our responsibility, our job is very difficult here. We have a lot of responsibility on our shoulders to be there, to give this knowledge, improve the awareness to the women of my country when they come, for example, to my office as activists. I talk with them about women's rights and these other values. And also that and this glorious uprising happened in these Middle East countries gives us also hopes and strength, like millions give strength to millions around the world. But unfortunately, in these countries also that only the dictators removed, but the system is still in power. I hope that one day the system also will be completely destroyed, because you have this example in your country, at least in US, you experience this empty banner of hope and change of Barack Obama, president. You know that, you see that because the system was in power, that's why we believe faces is meaningless, never bring positive change.
Here's a follow-up.
Let me just ask a follow-up then on that. In the Arab countries where we've seen uprisings, a big factor has been the communication, internet and radio and so forth. And would it be helpful if there was some kind of program to bring radios into Afghanistan, to bring communications to the people of Afghanistan so they could start communicating?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Unfortunately, the system is corrupt. Lots of money they are receiving, as I said, that billions of dollars. They see that media is quite, we don't have freedom of speech, elementary part of democracy. Inside the Parliament of Afghanistan, twice they beat journalists for telling the truth. We have tens of TV. When you see, you enjoy that, how beautiful TV, beautiful women with makeup, with modern clothes, they are coming. But who are they? Mouthpiece of this non-democratic governmental woman they invite. Pro-occupation, pro-war men and women they invite in their TVs. Each TV belongs to one fundamentalist with suit and tie. Here I showed you there. Sorry, later, maybe I'm going back. Here I show you the picture of them. Look, 1 minute. You can see these men with beard, with turban, and these men, now most of them suit and tie, doing shave, very beautiful than each of us. They are talking about women's rights, democracy, and they have TV. Hundreds of dollars they use for the TV. Just propaganda. I told you, mouthpiece of this non-democratic, misogynist government. We have countless newspapers just to waste your time to read. Anyway, they try to destroy our improvement mind machine. How to say this in English? That it means that not chance for intellectual, progressive people, democratic-minded people. Some party we have, Afghanistan Solidarity Party. They organize demonstration in Herat, in Jalalabad, in Kabul, in Mazar Sharif, in Farah province, at least 5 provinces now. I know that they had demonstration. Hundreds of people joined their demonstration against occupation, but never this media gave report. Even mainstream media, which always sideline the truths, betray the truths. And this is hope. Anyway, we wish that these democratic-minded parties, they had radio. Even they are not able to have newspaper because of economy. With empty hands, we can do nothing. Just we do raise awareness of our people more, to be more united with each other. This is what we can do. And if you know any other democratic-minded sources that they can help, I will give the orders of some democratic-minded parties, intellectuals, brave journalists, to contact them, through them if possible, even to have a radio. Why not? To have a TV. Yeah.
There was a question here, yes?
I work for a local nonprofit called Women's Campaign International, and we conduct projects in various countries around the world, generally post-conflict countries, and we work with women to help empower them and educate them so they can more fully participate in politics. And we're in Afghanistan right now, actually working with some of the female members of parliament, conducting leadership training. And one of our ideas for future was to propose a women's caucus. I was just wondering your experience in the parliament, if that would be feasible, and if that could be a forum for the percentage of like 27% of the female members of parliament to actually be able to make a difference.
You know, we wished, as I told you, that the system is problem. Corruption starts from the presidential palace, even till the small office that we have. System is corrupt. Most of Afghan and foreign NGOs are corrupt. Maybe you heard about Dr. Ramazan Bashar, who is a democratic-minded man, member of the parliament. And Dr. Ramazan Bashar is nowadays very famous in Afghanistan, living under the tent. But people love him. Why? Because he was minister of the planning, running the NGOs, control all the NGOs. He did so way most of these NGOs was corrupt. He wanted that decision to close. People was agree, but Karzai didn't allow him. Then he resigned from his post. That's why people love him a lot. And most of them are corrupt. Otherwise, I told you Afghanistan was like heaven. We wish, we have this kind of very good planning and project. We wish that at least if we had half-hearted democracy, then was hope. At least that here we didn't have caricature of democracy. Anyway, they just betray democracy also in the mind of my people. Most of people are not educated, while the elementary meaning of democracy is government of people for people. But enemies of these values are in power. That's why we do struggle against them, not sit silent. And we need to helping hand of justice-loving people around the world to share their experience with us, to exchange with each other, to learn from you. Thank you.
More questions?
But some non-governmental organization, I know if you want their name by email, here's my email. Sorry, I can give you.
Do you think it would be possible to create a women's caucus?
Sorry?
A women's caucus?
Women's caucus, I apologize for my, because my English is not very good. A caucus means? Sorry.
It's usually a group within a parliament or a congress of people with the same interest. For instance, women who all have feminist interests, or
Together. Yeah, it was when I was in the parliament, but right now, this time I boycott the election. I didn't run because this was quite fraudulent election, non-democratic. My people were saying it's not important who's voting, it's important who's counting. millions of Afghans did not attend. Just a showcase. Anyway, all the boxes not in the good hands. But there, when I was in the previous parliament, as they turn off microphone and even inside of parliament threatened with rape. Some memory you can read in my book as well. Anyway, my experience. But there, they give this knowledge to fundamentalist women, to mouthpiece of this government, which is useless, I told you. They do not give chance to democratic-minded women, while we have outside of parliament very brave, activist, secret heroine of Afghanistan, always I'm saying, I believe. But there is no chance for them. If you know any woman that not only this symbolic woman to teach them, of course they have many chance. They are traveling abroad, even in WikiLeaks. Maybe you read one document of the WikiLeaks says that it was one of the planning and is one of the planning of the US government and NATO. They sent governmental women to the Western countries to put dust on your eyes by telling propaganda. They are shamelessly pretending to you that all what's happening in Afghanistan is like some problems that each country they have their own problem. Never they are talking about these better realities. Please support these democratic-minded women and share your experience with them.
We have two questions over here.
Yeah.
First in the corner, then Mary.
And here is my email, Facebook. If you want, we can be contact. I give the names of these democratic-minded parties, intellectuals, NGOs. You can contact them, see their website, follow their activities.
Please.
So what is your message to young women of your country?
First, thanks a lot. When I see to each of you, I really get more strength and more hope. You put more responsibility, at least as a person, on my shoulder. We love you and we really need your support because you are the future. And when you know the history of a country, then you know how to help. Today, world is very small, like a village. Here, some book that I show for you. You can read some. Oh, again, maybe I did a mistake. Some of these book here, for example, book is Eyes for Infidel, Cathy Gannon wrote. The book of Devil's Game, Robert Dreyfus. The book of Bleeding Afghanistan, Sonali Kulhatkar wrote. Ghost War. My book, hopefully, it also will help you to know better about history of our country. We have proudful history, proudful culture. We had, still we have. So then you know how to help. And yes, thank you. What you say, I'm speechless now to tell to, especially to young generation. Yeah.
Mary?
Who supported you to come over here?
Who?
Who supported you to come over here and do this?
You know, when I got fame in 2003, supporters from different countries, democratic-minded organizations, feminist organizations, same here, this time Afghan Women Mission with a large number of other democratic-minded, peace-loving organizations, anti-war organizations together. Each city that I'm going now, I came from Boston. 2 days around Boston, I was in some other cities, universities, I had speeches. Different community, different organizations together, they organized events and they did campaign. And they are my supporter. They pay all costs, all expenses. Afghan Women Mission, you can see their website as well, that they take care to security and everything when I come here this time. Each country I go, those supporters who invite me, they have to pay all costs and take care, and fortunately we are appreciate, we're thankful that they give their tribute to us to bring the message to you, justice-loving people of these countries.
More questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, over the past couple of years, we've seen an escalation of the occupation in Afghanistan, more U.S. military troops there, and just, I guess, a more aggressive occupation. Have you noticed, what kind of impacts have you seen in Afghanistan since Obama has come to office and, pushed the more aggressive policy in Afghanistan?
You know, as I said during my speech, since Obama came in power, unfortunately, the outcome of his wrong policy, warmonger policy, was more tragedy, more massacres, more miseries. Few examples of the massacres I told you, that this even make fun with the dead bodies of my country. I showed you in the period of Barack Obama happened. Not only in Afghanistan, only Iraq is enough that these warmongers should be, they are unforgivable. And now Obama is expanding war not only in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Yemen, in Pakistan, and now this Libya. Anyway, unfortunately, I told you he proved himself during these 2 years for my people just a second and even dangerous push. If he continued this strong policy, I'm sure as now justice-loving people around the world, they, and especially US, they understand more about him and his policy. And they will not silence. I think alone it's enough that to know, I don't know how to say that, this Obama that just as a warmonger that what's going on in Gaza, in Palestine, supporting very close friend of Zionist regime of Israel. I wish justice-loving people of the Israel stand in solidarity, and I'm sure they are. I agree with peace-loving people, freedom-loving fighter of Palestine against the wrong policy of their government. Anyway, yeah, Obama.
More questions?
Drone attack in Pakistan took the life of too many people. Now, it is under the administration of Barack Obama.
Can I ask a follow-up question? As I understand, it's actually helped to increase the popularity of the Taliban. Is that right? Over the past couple of years, the Taliban has become more popular, partly because the increased occupation has driven people away from, I guess, the parliament, the government, or whatever, and it's given the Taliban more opportunities to organize. Is that the case?
You know, Taliban, I told you the background of the Taliban. You can read Ahmed Rashid book and some of these books that at least here I mentioned that to know better about the Taliban background and also these warlords, these books that Taliban, their background in the religious school of Pakistan by support of ISIS, CIA, financial support of Saudi Arabia. They created brainwash in the religious school of Pakistan. When you ask from taxi driver of Pakistan, ordinary people, shopkeepers, they call these religious school that they do brainwash to the Taliban making factories. Still, mainly through Pakistan government, they support Taliban. Not only Pakistan, Iran as well. That even media in Afghanistan gave report that they found Iranian gun with Taliban. Even in media of Afghanistan, once the report, one brave journalist that during the night in northern provinces of Afghanistan, unknown helicopter dropped food and gun from the sky to the famous area where we are Stalin. Taliban say thank you. Then these occupation forces, their master, they say, oh sorry, we didn't know they are Taliban. While they are telling to my people, even one ant is walking in Afghanistan, we can control. Anyway, as I told you that indirectly, this is their policy. Through this bunch of killers created their domination, destroyed. How it was easy for them after 9/11, they destroyed domination of the Taliban. They played a game of Tom and Jerry to be longer there for their own interests. And the last question of my sister that asked about young generation, what they can do. One chapter of my book I dedicated to this question, just because of lack of time, with more details I do not say, but as I said, world is very small, like a village. We can help each other. You can put pressure on your government by raising the voice, join the anti-war organization, also contact democratic-minded journalists of your country to do interview with democratic-minded activists in Afghanistan and some parties that we have still underground. And also through Facebook, in different ways we can help each other if you want.
Here's a question.
I was just wondering about women's access to health care and are they even able to access health care? If you had any comment on that. If it's more difficult for them recently or with Karzai in power, or if it was easier before. I know with the Taliban, they had to ask permission from the husband and things like that.
Health problem, you know, now in Afghanistan, there's official report, every 28 minutes a woman died during childbirth. While I told you billions of dollars Karzai's regime received, this corrupt regime. $52 million vice president of Karzai carry from airport of Kabul to Dubai with himself. In 2 airports, nobody stopped him. How you got this money, from where, and why you carry and where? Even this it has been exposed in WikiLeaks. and many other examples of corruption in Afghanistan. Today, Afghanistan is the second most corrupt country in the world. How possible the health problem improve? Of course, we have many other official figures. If you want by email, the link I sent you, that not only what I'm saying, my people is saying and believe, other democratic-minded sources, some brave journalists and researchers, they did research and give report. System is corrupt.
Before I call on this questioner, he has won an Academy Award for a documentary on an American who went to El Salvador to live with the people who were persecuted by the U.S.-supported government. This gentleman's name is David Goodman, and the name of the documentary that won the Academy Award is Witness to War. It's about an American physician, Dr. Charlie Clemens, who after graduating second in his class, maybe first, from the Air Force Academy, going to Vietnam, deciding that he wanted no part of war. He was a pacifist, came back and went to the medical school of Washington State University, became an MD, was working with refugees from El Salvador in Southern California, kept hearing their stories of how the U.S. backed the government, which was characterized by endless atrocities in that place, and went and made a film about him. So this is David Goodman asking this question. He's here because he might make a documentary about Malalai. David?
Thank you very much, but I think we're getting ahead of ourselves in the documentary. We'll see. I have to say first, as an aside, those pictures of white phosphorus bombs of innocent children reminiscent with what the experience of Witness to War in El Salvador. The same white phosphorus bombs were dropped on children, innocent women and children, mainly women and children, because the men were all either in combatants or dead. So those pictures bring back very bad memories for me of the white phosphorus attacks. But my question really is I don't know if I can actually ask this question in a way that will make sense, but I'll try. I think one of the most effective, I've got premise here, I think one of the most effective propaganda tools of the U.S. government and its allies, Western allies, is to say something along these lines. Yes, we kill innocent civilians, women and children, but we don't mean to do it. We are sorry that we're doing it. Now the bad people, the terrorists, the Taliban, they target innocent people. So we are a morally higher plane than they are because we're not targeting them. Now I'm asking you from the perspective of an Afghani woman who works with a lot of the victims. In the end, to the people who are under the bombs, does it really make any difference to those people, from their point of view, who is killing them? Whether it's collateral damage, if you will, versus targeted, in terms of their mourning, in terms of their losses. How would you address that? How would you think a lot of people address that issue? If you understand what I'm saying.
I appreciate it if you, with very simple English, very short, repeat the question. Just do not be misunderstanding, yeah.
Women die when the Taliban deliberately throws bombs at them. Women die when the Americans rain bombs down, aiming at Taliban, but they kill many Afghan civilian women. Is there an important difference between the way the two groups of women die? The deliberate targets of the Taliban, or women who die, the accidental targets of the Americans, the accidental dead from the Americans, the collateral damage, women who die. How do the women of Afghanistan feel about the two kinds of death?
From the point of view of the women themselves, in terms of grief and loss, does it in the end make a difference what the circumstances are?
For them, same as I said a few example that from the sky they are bombing, most of them women and children, even use white phosphorus cluster bomb, the women get disfigures. In the ground, Taliban warlords rape, kidnap, kill. I think misery is misery. If it will commit from the Western warmongers or fundamentalists, Westerns or Afghan fundamentalists or any other fundamentalist of any other country. So I think for my people it is safe for the moment. And just, it's like in Afghanistan, it's like family fighting, to tell you better. Between Taliban, warlords, Karzai's puppet regime, these warlords, and their foreign master, US and NATO government. Between the outcome of this family fighting is civilian casualty, most of them women and children. I think there's no difference between each other. For example, if the Taliban if the warlord raped a woman, the US and NATO support these misogynist terrorists. It means that they share the crime with them. Indirectly, they commit crimes. Not only they are bombing. I think both the same, both enemies. Only the name is different.
Yes, the follow-up. Yes, that's what I'm not surprised to hear you say that. But I appreciate it. But the follow-up is that I think a lot of people in this country would think that they wouldn't be as angry, the victims of attacks from NATO forces, because they're not targeted as they would be, the families of the victims, as they would be of the Taliban, because they're targeted. And you're saying, I think, pretty clearly, death is death, a loss is a loss. It doesn't matter whether it's an accident,
Yeah.
right, a misguided
Yeah.
bomb.
Yeah.
If you're dead.
Yeah, you are right. One sentence I wanted to say now, I forget about this issue. Yeah, the women of my country now, not only they suffer from these occupation forces bombing, killing civilians, but regarding situation of my country, backward country, they face two kind of problem. One is patriarchal system in backward country. Another is misogynist, patriarchal male-dominated society. Another is a misogynist system. So if we will have here democratic-minded system in Afghanistan, then this patriarchal domination, male-dominated society will improve. But they support those misogynist warlords, even Taliban, that to keep this situation like this do not improve. This male-dominated society do not improve.
I think we have a fifth grader or so back there. A misogynist is a woman hater. It's a Greek compound word. The mis is the hate part. The GYN part, as a gynecologist, is woman. So a misogynist is a woman hater.
My pronunciation is awful. And
No, it's good.
You must understand.
It's good. It's just a very sophisticated word. You know.
No, thank you.
Yes.
You have a great deal of work to do in your lifetime that we here for you in safety. You have a great deal of work to do in every country, but do you now fear for your safety, for your own safety?
My own safety, my life story is a little different. The exception is that because of my fame, that I publicly stand up, expose their mask, the 2003. That's why day by day my life getting more dangerous, because more risky, because I never do compromise with them, never sit silent, expose their mask in Afghanistan, also around the world when I attend in some conferences. That's why day by day with more deathliest wars, I receive death threats, even as they want to eliminate me. When you compare my life with the dark period barbaric regime of Taliban, on that time I was teacher with burqa, it was risky. And today, fortunately, world know about Taliban. But now, as an activist, despite burqa, bodyguard not safe. Underground change as underground life, like many other activists of Afghanistan, not only me. As I told you, that the only difference is that I failed. They are much brave. Even I cannot call myself brave. I did nothing. It's like a drop in the ocean. I just do my responsibility, and we must do that. And day by day we understand how much more responsibility we have on our shoulders. And now we face with more hardships, challenges, risks, but we accept this death. As always I'm saying, I don't fear death. I fear political silence against injustice. That's the point always make me worry. Everybody one day will die. I read in Facebook, one great person wrote, I don't remember the name of this person, he says or she says that to die for something is better to live for nothing. We try to do our responsibility, and hope to, from this fame, as long as I'm alive, to use for the benefit of my people, especially women. Our brother said that our friend that want to make documentary. I wish that to make this documentary not about me, about some other orphans, widows, voiceless men, women of my country, that their story must be shared with you justice-loving people around the world. Great, brave activists of Afghanistan that even I cannot compare myself with them. Just through your support, you make us more humble, gives us more strength, also responsibility.
Yes?
I understand there's an NGO, International Women for Women, that have started shelters for women throughout the country. And those shelters are for Afghan widows, war widows, and for other women that have no other resources. And that recently, within the last few weeks, the Karzai government has been taking them over, claiming that there's been a lot of financial fraud and waste. What do you know about this, and what will be the impact of this?
As I told you, there's few NGOs we have that they are democratic-minded NGOs. But even some NGOs that we have, I'm not saying they are not democratic-minded NGOs, but unfortunately they are pro-occupation because of their projects. I know, for example, some activists from UNIFAM and some other NGOs that they are telling me, Malalai, if the troops leave Afghanistan, we lose our project. I told them, okay, but in a way you are right, but let's think about this point. When you build the schools, like our sporting school, they rape. They burn the schools. You have to close the school doors. The level of the education is so low, and many other problems they raise. It makes no sense to support occupation, otherwise we will lose our project. You know? And anyway, I know this organization also, I hear that they have projects hopefully for our people, which is very important. More than school, more than food and water, freedom of their country. When we don't have freedom, we have nothing. They must end this occupation. We wish that of course, they continue. I appreciate their project. They continue more, improve their project, but at least raise their voice in the meantime against warmongers, even if they lose their project. From those who are pro-war, pro-occupation, if by raising the voice against occupation, against blind bombardment, if they lose their project, no matter. I told you, they both, but they are bombing. They are closing the doors of the school and many other measures.
Are there any other questions? I see Tim. Oh, how about you first and then Tim? Sir?
If the U.S. forces leave, do you fear that countries like Russia or China or even Uzbekistan will try to install their own puppet regime that would benefit their countries?
Now my country looks like a sick body. Everyone wants to have their own peace rather than give us helping hand, honest helping hand. As our sister mentioned about school, colony, I said earlier, we wish that instead of military invasion, it was invasion of schools, colony, hospital, literacy courses, and many other projects. Yes, now, because Russia, US as a superpower don't want that, for example, through Afghanistan, they treat China day by day improving, and also Iran, other Asian powers, they will have easily access through Afghanistan to have their powerful military base to the gas and oil of the Central Asian republics, billions of dollars receiving through that, especially pipeline is the main project of them. Since during Taliban domination, want to complete this project, but 9/11 happened. And still they are working in this project, one of their main goals. If you want some links, some research of researchers, honest researchers, I can send you to read that. Yeah, I told you, even neighbor countries misuse from this opportunity. Even Taliban, these terrorists from this muddy water, they catch fishes.
Yes.
I think Americans are growing tired of war in general, but we still are convinced that we are in a war where we are committed to a common or an ultimate good. And so if we turn around from this meeting and go and tell our fellow Americans that America needs to leave Afghanistan, they will say to us, well, if we leave Afghanistan, then the Taliban will take over and they will be way worse than us. And we will say, well, but we are causing more damage by being there. And they will say, well, the military is not equipped to protect the people from the Taliban. What do we tell our fellow Americans? What is the greatest strength in Afghanistan now that will overcome the forces of the Taliban, misogynistic, politicized religion, when we are not there? What do we tell them?
You know, you should tell them that put pressure on your government to stop this wrong policy. Maybe you hear that through your media that they are nowadays talking about handing over the responsibility to Afghan National Army and police. While it is just like a trick to use as a cannon fodder to decrease the number of their soldier casualties. Same like Vietnam War, because they are under pressure of the great people of their country, I mean US, and they are searching for a so-called honorable solution. That's why they invite Taliban, to make more powerful this puppet, corrupt mafia regime than even they leave Afghanistan. Indirectly, they have the upper hand here. They easily interfere in our internal issues. So they do not let Afghanistan stand on its own feet. We have Afghan National Army, in the past was volunteer, but now my people call it dollar army. Why? Because $200 each army, they receive salary, while the teacher don't have $200 salary and enough food to eat. For months, teachers not receiving salary. And anyway, the head of Afghan National Army and police is powerful warlord. It seems like to make Robin have responsible of the crime. Anyway, this is their planning, that do not let Afghanistan stand on its own feet. Many other examples, if you want, I can send by email the link of these reports of some brave journalists that even with clothes of Afghan police, they kidnap some intellectuals, some ordinary innocent people, that to show their power, kidnap them and kill them, and back with the Afghan police clothes, bring and throw them on the streets. We find their dead bodies. Because the powerful warlords, the militia, we call militia. Militia has powerful hand in Afghanistan, and Afghan National Army, and they use from their power and still talk with my people through gunpoint.
So where are the feet of Afghanistan?
Where are the feet?
Where are the feet of Afghanistan? If you say you want Afghanistan to stand on their own feet,
yeah.
I think in America we don't know where those feet are.
Yeah. You
I
know,
tell me, where is the strength?
The feet, I told you that like your country, like many other countries, we also have our intellectuals, our democratic-minded parties, NGOs, as our sister mentioned. We have some NGOs, well, most corrupt, but we are not seeing all of them. Brave activists. Let's support them. I told you example of Afghanistan Solidarity Party. I told you example of RAW organization, HACA, OPAC, AFSICO, many other few that I know. More than parties, we have intellectuals, high-educated professors in Afghanistan, outside of Afghanistan, because they are not puppet, because they are not corrupt, no honor job. My life story is an example. Why they couldn't tolerate me in the parliament of Afghanistan? It is true, inside of parliament completely I feel myself alone, while there was few democratic-minded intellectuals, representative men and women that you can count with your finger. But most chairs of the parliament occupied by warlords, drug lords, even Taliban. These powerful warlords, their name is for you a little difficult and different. You can see in Human Rights Watch website, Amnesty International, and few of these books that I mentioned with bloody hands, they impose on my people. That's why Afghanistan do not stand on its own feet. This time, not only me, many other Afghan I know, especially intellectuals, they boycott the election. Like millions of Afghans did not attend in the election. This showcase election, no question election is a main sign of democracy. But they betray democracy. I told you that election under the shade of gun, warlordism, drug lordism, awful corruption in occupation forces has no legitimacy at all. But they want to give a kind of legitimacy to their puppet regime through this democratic process, but undemocratically. As I said, all the boxes in the hands of them. As they wish, they count. Anyway, there are many other reports regarding corruption, regarding how powerful and warlord in power, and do not let the democratic-minded people. When the head of the election commission of Afghanistan is a powerful warlord man, Fazl Ahmad Manabi, is it possible to give chance to some democratic-minded who ran for the election? I know them. I did campaign for them. I boycott the election, but I did campaign for them. My people, my supporter who called me, I told them, go and vote for them, but this is the reality. I raised their awareness. Why I did not attend in the election? Many requests come to run again for the election. I told them that I don't want from my position, this mafia regime, puppet regime, get credit. and their foreign master. Look, there is democracy. Someone like Malalai Joya is in the parliament with this fame. But never they talk what is going on in with Malalai Joya inside of parliament. Even treat her to rape, beat her, expelled her. Never they talk about it. They censor my interview as a political conspiracy, use it against me, expelled me from parliament, which is quite illegal act. Anti-freedom of speech, and I also was MP, member of parliament, they also. It's quite illegal act. This is the right of the Supreme Court. They expel or not someone from parliament. They are parliamentarian, they just make law. But they are law brokers, not lawmakers. As I told you, many other examples, if you want to know better about reality of the not only so-called war on terror, this disgusting non-democratic parliament as well.
Are we at an end? I think there might not be any more questions. All right, remember you can purchase Malalai's book.